Kamen Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with my review of Kamen Rider Ex-Aid episode 38. Wait, that was 39. I'm bad at math. Like, I can't do math. I'm a social studies teacher. I'm not a social studies teacher. That was actually just a reference from a joke from real life, so you wouldn't get that. I love inside jokes. I hope to one day be a part of one. Anyway, that was a really weird intro, but this is episode 38, and it was another solid episode. It was basically the turning point finally for Bravo, Mr. Dangerous! No, this is Mr. Responsible! I don't know, that didn't even make sense. Oh god, I'm weird in this one. Like, I just recorded Q Ranger and I was normal. Like, what happened in the 15 seconds in which I shut off the Q Ranger recording and started this one? I don't know. But anyway, this was Brave's, not Bravo's, turning point episode where he's finally back on the side of the good guys. Basically, the setup last week, you know, Taiga was in the hospital, and Hiro's the only one that can save him because he's the cardio surgeon. He had a cardiac tamponade, which I knew from Grey's Anatomy, which is kind of funny. But he decided to go in to do the surgery, but then it was like, oh no, he's gonna sabotage it because Kronos is like, if you don't sabotage this, then otherwise you don't get your girlfriend back. So they thought he was gonna sabotage the surgery, which I thought was a really cool way of going about it, and a really like good pivotal moment for Brave's character, because for most of the show he's very much the by-the-book doctor type, and most of the storyline, aside from his, you know, personal storyline with his girlfriend, which only recently came to the forefront, it's been, you know, the M's like, oh, care about the patient, and Brave's very procedural, not procedural, but, you know, stick to the procedure, be a good doctor, by the book. So it was an interesting moral dilemma of him being such a by-the-book doctor and now being talked into doing this very immoral thing, especially for a doctor, for the causes of his girlfriend, which is also an interesting twist because it's an emotional choice. It's kind of a very different emotional choice type thing than M was making, but he always criticized M for getting too attached to the patient, but in this case he was too attached to his own personal decision, and that was just kind of interesting for him, just an interesting dilemma to tie back to the way his character's been. But ultimately, he decided to do the right thing, obviously, and he fixed Taiga and let his girlfriend go, because as it so appears, is that even a sentence? As it so appears? So as it appears? Whatever. Kronos has deleted her. I'm not sure if that'll stick. You never know in Toku. I kind of hope it does. I feel like I'm always talking about how I want death to be permanent in this show, and I'm not like that grimdark of a person, but just when it adds to the story in a good way, I think it cheapens it to undo it. Like, I talked about that with when I was at the time disappointed that the Rider Chronicle players weren't really gone, but that ended up being cool because it was part of a larger plan, which I didn't see at the time. But I think because of that installation, that people will be destroyed or killed, whatever, and then just digitized and brought back, that if she is deleted, it does add that much more weight to it. And not just weight of her death in general, but for Hiro, that he made that sacrifice. And it was also very meaningful because as she kept repeating ad nauseum for the last handful of episodes, whenever we saw her like avatar, you know, she wanted him to be the best doctor in the world. So basically it was that classic, like, she wouldn't want you to do this situation. So I hope they keep her deleted, not because I want to see Hiro suffer, but because it's a really great pivotal character moment for him to have given up on her. Let her go is more accurate. Given up on her sounds like, oh, doesn't matter, I don't care about you. It's more like he let her go for the sake of the greater good and for the kind of man that she wanted him to be, which was a good doctor that was going to save a patient's life and wouldn't have sabotaged Taiga's surgery for his own selfish gain. So I think to bring her back later would cheapen that sacrifice, both for him and also for the stakes of showing that in this world where we can bring people back with data, that this is a real sacrifice. And I really liked that. And I probably won't fly off the handle if it's brought back later, because it's not as if he never made the sacrifice, but I think it just adds that impact on several levels for him. So I really enjoyed that. It sounds really weird to say that because it was kind of morbid, but you know what I mean. I thought it was a good character story for him. And that is pretty much it that happened in the episode. Like, it's weird that this arguably had more substance then it did have more substance on a character and story level than Q-Ranger, but I feel like I have less to talk about because that was the core of the episode. The only other real thing that happened was Kronos talking about getting rid of like Graphite and Palad because they're not marketable, specifically Palad because he's a writer. But that's going to lead into next week's storyline. So that was kind of a little side build-up of, you know, next week's plot of, that is like, was kind of the main plot from last week, which was a little bit sidelined this week of like, if Palad's deleted, then M can't transform. I'm still interested to see how they handle that. Some sort of loophole or whatnot, but it looks like it's going to be interesting. But this was a good end to Brave's arc for now. It was probably my favorite character story he's gotten. It was a bigger arc than Taiga's, but it kind of reminds me of the episode with Taiga. Even though the episode had some really annoying Toku nonsense in it, it was kind of like that same moment of like, okay, this is something I can really like about this character, and that was kind of the realization of this episode, as it was in the Taiga episode, where it was like about his bond with Nico and about how he said, because like no one likes me, I should be the one to sacrifice myself. So they've both had some good moments where I'm like, okay, this is actually a solid character. I'm hoping M gets one of those. He had that one two weeks ago when he got the power-up where he, I didn't hate him and he made a smart decision, but that wasn't quite on the level of this. So I'm hoping for him to get that moment for me before the series ends. I don't know if Dan ever will. Although, oddly, in this episode when he was like, losing continues, like he got down to 70, I'm like, oh crap, you better slow down or you're gonna be dead. I'm like, wait, I wanted him dead. It was like this moment of almost worry. I worried myself that I was worried about him losing the continues. I don't know what that was about. But anyway, not too much else to say. This was overall a good episode, good end to Brave's arc. I would give it an 8.5. But anyway, till next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Dawson Rider, signing out.